Hi everyone, today we're going to go ahead and talk about heat sensitive colors. We're going to talk about how to work with them and exactly what makes them heat sensitive and some of the common colorants that go into the different colors that we have here in glass. So the first one's going to be cadmium. This is probably one of the worst ones heat sensitive wise. But this one's going to go ahead and create a yellowish hue. So we're going to see things like banana and like a goldenrod. Next is going to be a gold chloride. This one is going to have a lot of red hues, so we see this with poppy and with ketchup. The next one that we have is going to be antimony oxide. This one's going to be super white. It's going to color everything real bright and white. You want to be real careful with this one. This one is a very heat sensitive color. And with cobalt oxide, this is where we get all the blues, the cobalts that we see in the glass. It can be anywhere from a real light blue to a real dark blue to a little bit of a purple. The next one is going to be sulfur. Sulfur is going to give kind of an amber color. So you see this more with like a translucent kind of brown or like a darker yellow. Next is going to be uranium oxide. Now this one is going to be kind of a fluorescent effect, making slime and things like Illuminati. And the last of the common colorants is going to be chromic oxide. This one's going to create a lot of emerald and jade shades. It's often used in transparent colors and translucent colors. Now I wanted to talk a little bit about what flame you're going to be using. With these colors, when they are so heat sensitive, you want to use kind of a puffy neutral flame. This means it's going to have a little bit more propane than oxygen. It's going to make it a little bit cooler. And you want to go through with these colors, start at the very edge of your flame, slowly heat it up and work inward until you get to a good working point. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to show you a couple different ways to go ahead and encase your heat sensitive colors. You can always work with these colors just as is. You don't have to encase them, but until you're able to kind of find that real good middle, especially for beginners, this is usually the safest route to go. You can also hit it with a lot more heat, which is really nice for certain applications as well. So what I'm doing is just heating this up a little bit. I'm not trying to bring it to any kind of pliable or workable condition. We just want to go ahead and make sure it's warm so the clear is going to stick to it nicely. Now I'm just encasing the maybe tip, let's see, probably about an inch, inch and a half. You can always do the entire thing. This is just real quick to kind of show you what you want to do. Now with this one I'm using a 4mm clear rod, and all I'm really doing is kind of striping down all the way around. What you want to try to focus on is heating not only your clear rod, but you want to heat the clear that's already on the color. This is going to go ahead and make sure that both of them are nice and hot and pliable, and this is going to make sure that you don't capture any air bubbles. If the clear is too cool on your rod, then it's going to be real stiff, which will make it a lot easier to trap any kind of air bubbles when you're putting on any extra clear. Now with this, we're just going to go ahead and hit it really nice with some heat, get it all the way through. And as you start to melt it, you're going to start seeing the clear color, that kind of wrap, kind of disappear. It's going to kind of melt into the yellow, so you're not going to see a huge overlap of clear. And the only way that you do this is when you do it a little bit thinner. So that's why I like using the 4mm rod, is it seems like it's just the right thickness to where I can put a little bit of pressure on it, thin it out just a little bit, and it's just the right amount of clear. Now this next technique is going to be using a clear tube. So this is just a 9.5 tube, so the outer diameter is 9mm, inner is 5. I have a piece of, I think it's poppy, that I had gone through and just stretched it out and pulled it a little bit thinner to make that overall diameter a little bit smaller. That way it fits in my tube perfectly. So just like before, you want to make sure both things are going to be pretty warm. This is going to make it so it's not going to have any kind of heat stress or anything like that. It's going to really help out there so you don't see any cracks. So that fits perfectly. I'm just going to go ahead and put it into the flame. And you want to go ahead and focus on probably the last half inch, half centimeter or so of the end of the tubing. This is going to go ahead and create that first seal between the clear tube and the color. And once you have that done, you want to very slowly, while spinning the glass, you want to go ahead and heat everything up and then slowly work to the end of the colored rod. Now when you work slowly like this is making sure that, again, you don't have any kind of air bubbles that are trapped in there. When doing it with the tube, it's a lot easier to trap air bubbles than if you were just laying the clear color over the existing color like before. Now with this, you just want to slowly melt it in, and as soon as we get to the very end, you'll see in just a minute here, I'm going to go ahead and take the blow tube and suck on it to go ahead and create just a quick vacuum of that tube. That'll make sure the very tip of that color is going to be completely encased, and that's going to prevent any air bubbles as well. So while we finish that up, I also wanted to mention you can do the same kind of thing. There I am, stuck in the tube. That's going to go ahead and create that, that ending there. But while you're doing the encasing, you always want to remember you don't have to encase in clear. You can actually get a lot of really cool color combinations when you work with different transparents. So I used Poppy here, and I've used a couple different things as far as translucence and actually striking colors go as well. It makes it for a really cool color combination. You can get more of a specific color if you're looking for something very specific that might not be an actual color through any of the manufacturers. So that's when that kind of thing comes in really nicely. It also gives it a really nice depth as well. So rather than just the straight color, you get that little bit of depth from the transparent, and then you get a little bit of light bouncing back and forth, so it really creates a really nice kind of vibrant color. And you can also do it with, as I mentioned, striking colors. When you use striking colors, you do want to remember to put it on pretty thin. A lot of the striking colors, you really don't need to use really thick. You're still going to get a really nice kind of striking change, even with just a real thin coat. The only thing you want to remember there is you want to make sure it's at least thick enough, probably maybe 2 millimeters, to make sure that it's still going to be enough to protect the glass. That way you can still work with it nice and hot without it seeping through the striking color and into the actual colored rod. So with this, I'm just going through, I took it off the other rod, I'm taking that little last bit of color right off. That's going to make sure the entire thing is encased in clear. I'm going to finish it up real quick with a nice kind of blast of heat, make sure everything is nice and melted. So with this last little bit, I'm just hitting it with heat real good. That's going to make sure everything is nice and melted in. Just going to marver it so it looks nice and it's going to be easy to work with. But that's going to be it. You are all set. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time.